Welcome, Spartans, to Podcast Evolved, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Podcast Evolved hosts original lore series and recaps last month's Halo news. Our current lore series is Infinite Impressions. And your ears are not deceiving you, I am indeed back today. It's me hosting, Tom here. Probably not going to come back again after this, but you know, it's all good. And with me today, we have got Lucas.
Hello. This gonna be grumpy time.
Aaron.
Fuck everything.
And special guest Rye.
I've been waiting so long for this.
We are. Am I reading this bit, Aaron? Because it's
No, we are not live in our Discord server because I can't be arsed at the minute, so we are not live on Discord. Thanks very much, guys.
So we are not live in our Discord server because Aaron can't be asked right now, so we are not chatting with our followers. So I would say, how is the chat doing tonight, but I don't need to. Thank you all for being here, even though you're not really here because here doesn't actually exist. Today we will cover Forge leaks, MCC updates, and everything is on fire! But before we get started, if you're new to the show, welcome. Evolved is host to a variety of shows. This, the show you're hearing in your ears right now, is Podcast Evolved. You can check out our previous lore series, The Road to Infinite, and Character Dossiers. Evolved also hosts the shows Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, Halo Book Club, Halo Headlines, and our newest shows, Halo Gear Guide and Halo TV Plus. And Evolved partners with HCS Pro Talk, a podcast where Josh and Will discuss the latest information within the competitive Halo scene with an emphasis on the community every week. You can learn more about each of the shows I just mentioned on our website, which is evolvedhalo.com. And if you're already a fan of the show, we ask you to rate us and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate all the feedback we receive from our listeners to improve the quality of our shows. Before we go any further, we would like to take this moment to thank all of our patrons for their continued support. Your contributions allow us to continue making new content like this every week. So thank you very much for supporting us, keeping the lights on, and making everything possible.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Rye. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, we can thank one in person for a change. Thank you.
I'll get down on my knees and bow before you.
Oh, bet.
If you're not subscribed, our patrons receive a variety of exclusive rewards such as early episodes, unique swag, access to our podcast soundtrack, and more. You can head over to patreon.com/HaloEvolve to learn more. And finally, we encourage our listeners to support Audible, where they can enjoy the growing collection of Halo novels all in one place, along with thousands of other novels, guided wellness programs even, almost mocked that up, and more. Use the URL audibletrial.com/podcastevolve to learn more and start your free trial today. And I will just say, I did listen to Rubicon Protocol on Audible recently, and the audiobook was fantastic, so I really recommend going and picking that up. With all of that said, that's enough of me talking. We're going to jump into last week on Zeta Halo, so I'm going to start with our special guest, Rye. Rye, what did you do on Zeta Halo last week?
Nothing. Not a thing.
Nice.
What have you been playing is the real question.
Lately I've been playing actually a lot of Gran Turismo 5 on the PS5. I picked myself up a sim racing wheel, so I've been really deep diving into that, or playing Ready or Not on the computer, and then also recently purchased Raft and been playing that with the wife.
Nice. Cool.
He's
very
being a
good.
goddamn
Is-
traitor here with Gran Turismo.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. We have to allow it occasionally. Is Raft the, survival? I think I vaguely know of it. Is it like the stuck on the ocean survival game?
Yeah, you just start out with this little 2x2 raft, and you kind of pick stuff up as you're floating. You bump into islands, and you just build up on your raft, add things, anchors, steering, motors, stuff like that, and just, there's actually, I went back into it because I found out they had opened up a whole, story aspect of it, so it's as you kind of upgrade and research more, you get to this point where you can start finding these islands that had survivors and bouncing between those and picking up on the story.
That sounds cool. It sounds like the goal is consistently adding content frequently.
It sounds like a really good co-op game too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Our friends picked up on it and they were like, "Hey, go try this." So then I hadn't touched it yet, and I bought it for me and the wife. And God, we've got like 40 or 50 hours into our raft as it is.
Are you guys able to play this in local co-op?
I mean, local as in we're sitting next to each other, but we're still online.
That's the Halo Infinite experience I've come to expect. Right.
Yep.
Talking of co-op, Aaron, have you had any co-op experiences recently?
I had a fantastic time playing co-op before we started this show. It was a glorious time. Absolutely fantastic. Krista was there in spirit as you all fucked me over.
Oh, god dang.
Yeah, we, well, first originally, Aaron and I just played the Covenant. Or no, it was the Ark. We played the Ark, and so that's, one of the better levels. And then Tom jumped on, and we played the last level of Halo, and we got to the Warthog run, and Tom took off without Aaron and I, and just left us.
Yep, Tom started to trigger all the checkpoints, so the floor started to fall out from under us while we were trying to catch. Then we would come up to the next hub where we would respawn at a Warthog, but the asshole would drive as far away from the Warthog as he could, so by the time we ran to the Warthog, the next section would fall out from under us. He did this several times. And then, the one time he fell and we overtook him, the asshole that was driving our Warthog betrayed me and reversed back up the ramp and fell.
Oh, we got right to the end, and I just stopped and reversed backwards and was like... It was chaos. It was great. And then it took us another 15 minutes to actually beat the level.
I had a great old time there. Just loved it. Fantastic. Turns out there's a certain point where once you respawn, you can't actually get off the hub spoke thing in time. That's always fun because Halo 3 physics is just good. No, we had a good time. I wanted to fire up Master Chief Collection because it was in the news and I was trying to figure out how there's information on tours and stuff and bits and pieces, and we could not track this down. We took the longest time in the menus trying to find out where the series and tour information was. And it turns out it's just on your character card page when you pull up the roster. It's just information there, but we couldn't find it anywhere else.
I didn't even know it existed until we had this conversation a few hours ago.
I didn't know it existed until we did our Halo Headlines episode.
Yeah, it just it was completely hidden and out of the way. It was very strange, but that was our fun. It was worked surprisingly well. There wasn't an awful particularly bad amount of lag, which I was impressed with. Because we're fairly spread out.
Well, I mean, you and Tom are close, and then it's me over here and the other across the pond.
Yeah,
there's only a little strait of water protecting you, Aaron.
You can come over here if you want. I don't fear you. I only fear Krista.
Listen, Krista lives close to me and Rye, so we all live in the same state, so it's
all right. I get to see Krista in December. This is going to be a traumatic time for all of us.
That's the best Christmas present ever, Aaron.
If we don't hear from you, I guess we know what happened.
She's gone back home with a very peculiar looking jacket made of strange leather.
You've been watching Tales of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too deep into this, Lucas, what about you? What have you been up to?
Besides that, I played a tiny bit of doubles in Halo Infinite, and I played about 4 matches, and we sucked at it, so I didn't play much of that. But then I did get into a World War II sim on my PC called Hell Let Loose.
Oh, cool!
And let me tell you, it is a tough game to play. You stick your head up and you get gunned down by an MG42, and you're like, well, I'm fucked.
So much fun, though.
It is so much fun. But when you get in a tank, we got 185 kills and 2 deaths and in 2 lives and stuff like that, because the tanks are almost indestructible in that game.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I've seen a lot of gameplay from it.
It's an absolute lot of fun. You have to have communication. If you don't have communication, nothing will work well.
And
Yeah.
it's such a divergence from what we've been taught as first-person shooters lately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will say, on the sim front, I picked up... So since I've last been on the show, I grabbed Armor Reforger, which I've been enjoying quite a bit. It's very buggy, but it's cool that there's actually an Armor game on console now.
Yeah, I think it's still a beta, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken correctly.
Yeah, it's early access.
But man, if only they got the mod tools into Arma Reforged on console. Like literally, that's the only reason you get Arma is to mod the game. Like anything you want. You want a Halo mod? Go for it. You want a Star Wars
yeah.
mod? Go for it.
On console, they've got the workshop in it, so you can install mods and set them running on it. So I've got like modern armor mods, modern weapon mods, and I'm just
I've gotta get you
waiting
my
for
mod
somebody
list.
to do Operation Trebuchet. If they do it on Reforger, I'm going to be sorted. Yeah, I'll move us into the monthly news, and by me moving us into the monthly news, Aaron, I'm going to give this to you because I have the feeling that you're very, very positive and upbeat about all the news we've had recently.
I am here. I am ready to go. I've read all the news. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Right, let's go. Some of it's actually all right. Nothing too exciting, but we'll get there. Hang on a minute. There we go.
Time's up.
And that's it for this show, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode.
It's all right. My notes just decided to close on my iPad the moment I went to read them, so that was really convenient there. But we're back. Okay. So we have the August drop pod. That was our first bit of news. So this brought us cross-core visors. Some cross-core helmet attachments for the Mark 7. It brought us ranked and social doubles, behind-the-scenes updates to allow for future region selection, which is always good, and challenges added to the pause menu, small quality of life thing. All in all, the August drop pod, totally fine, didn't ruin things in Halo Infinite. Let's move on. In August, we had the Halo 2 Lasso All Skulls Beside Envy run was completed.
Yeah.
Without dying.
Without
That's
dying,
the-
yes.
That's the big thing about it. He did not die.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Managed to survive
was-
those Jackal snipers.
Yep, it was completed
he
in 6 hours and
glitched.
30 minutes.
If I remember correctly, I think he glitched through some of those levels, like to get past some of those Jackal snipers.
You'd have to, like, they're just so ridiculous. So, his YouTube channel is Jervelin? Is that how we pronounce that?
That's
gonna
how I
go
would
with
pronounce
it.
it.
Looks about right.
Sounds
So you can go and watch that. Very exciting moment. His family's very happy for him. But what did he win? $20,000?
$20,000.
Yeah.
20,000. That's not bad for 6.5 hours of work.
No.
Right?
Going on from that, we've had a lot of Forge leaks going on. There are, at this stage, probably more than we can count. Things of interest, there were evidence of destructible environment pieces, so walls, doors, things like that. There are portals, teleports, so someone used those to build a version of Portal. I've seen Minecraft built in Forge that built like villages in the Nether. Someone built a level out of like 10,000 bunches of bananas. Like lots of stuff, which the really crazy part is they're building all these things in Forge, but you currently can't save a level, which means people are just leaving their systems running while they build these things because they can't save them.
Yeah.
Oof.
So
That's
they're
crazy.
putting...
I've seen some gondolas. I saw some gondolas. It was probably like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah. There's been some really cool stuff. I was going to say I wanted to shout out Infinite Forges on Twitter, because they've been making some crazy campaign level environments, which have been really cool. And I think it was them who did like a Stranger Things portal that went through into the Upside Down and looked really cool.
Oh, I did not see that.
It was sick.
Yeah, there is a lot of like very good stuff leaking out about that, so I am excited about Forge when that eventually comes out. Also in August, on the 16th, the Halo Cookbook launched.
Yeah.
I did pick
And-
up the Halo Cookbook.
I'm excited to use this episode to confirm that we're going to be doing a new video segment with Aaron on the Evolved YouTube channel, which is going to be called Aaron Cooks. and he's going to be using the Halo cookbook to make recipes from the book to then share with you guys. So look out for that. And he will be doing it in just an apron, because we know that that's what the demand has been as well.
I thought we were being I thought we were being deliberately sexist, and it was going to be Krista cooks because she's the only lady we have. I thought we agreed this. I thought Krista agreed to this.
So I hate to tell it to you, Aaron, but there was a vote behind the scenes, and you weren't available at the time. And
I wasn't available for this vote either.
Everyone else
Apparently,
used their veto, so it's down to you.
Oh, okay.
But I like the idea of Krista, and I came up with this great idea: is we should just cook it, stick it in a field, and put tannerite in it, and then just shoot it, because I do live in Florida, and we can just get those things from the store. So
if we can shoot it with the tank, even better.
Oh, the tank only shoots BBs at the moment.
Oh,
So
I've got something we can shoot it with.
That old familiar phrase everyone knows: if we can shoot it, we can eat it.
I said it.
I like it.
Chat.
I like it. Is that a Barrett?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh!
All right, enough behind the scenes excitement here. Let's move on to the next exciting thing: Halo Battle Royale leaks.
Yeah.
So, this is codenamed Tatanka. Screenshots show a playlist that includes triples, quads, and free-for-all mode. The mode description reads, "Welcome to the ring. Emerge victorious by being the last player standing. Rumoured release is 2022, but that is not the case because it is not on the roadmap for 2022, so fuck us, right?"
I have a feeling it still could release this year. I feel like it's their big ace card that they're keeping quite quiet at the moment deliberately. My big concern is they're running out of time, because if Warzone 2 launches before it, and if Modern Warfare 2's DMZ mode launches before it, then I think it's going to have an uphill battle to compete.
Not only that, but like they just confirmed that all the new Call of Duty games are going to be free through Game Pass. So it's like, oh, your player base is going to jump exponentially larger because of that.
Yeah, and if people are choosing between the Tatanka experience or Warzone, they might go for Warzone. So they need to get it right.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what it is. I wouldn't mind. A Battle Royale probably wouldn't be the thing for me. It'll be a PvE mode I'll want, but
yeah,
if it was a mode that you could play with other players against bots, maybe, it could be interesting.
Listen, they have that game already. It's called PUBG, where you play mostly against bots.
That's
it really
true,
depends on how they present this, I feel. I think if they do it so it's something substantially different, and if they explain like armor systems and things as actually you're an ODST dropping in, then that could be really cool. But I feel like if it's just same old Spartan gameplay, I'm not sure how it's going to compete.
What if this became like Halo Infinite's equivalent of Beast Mode in Gears 3, and it's actually you playing as Banished?
I've only ever played Gears 1.
Oh, Beast Mode was great because you got to play as the
You're
Locust.
missing out.
Kick him out.
You're gone.
It's
Just
all
go.
right. We should go and play some classic Gears. I think that would be good fun. I think you'd enjoy that,
Gears
Tom.
3 Horde.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so much fun.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Right. Moving on next, we have the Master Chief Collection August update. So we have a few things here. There are fixes and improvements for the existing mod tools for Halo CE, 2, 3, and ODST. And they're also adding more mod tools to Halo Reach. We have Halo 2 Anniversary getting 5 new Spartan armor sets and a couple of weapon skins. So we're getting the Breach, Trooper, Mega Frame, Panzer Doll, and Bioroid armors. And we're also getting the Tie-Dye, Sandstorm, Bluing, and Black Tiger skins for the Assault Rifle, Battle Rifle, Sniper, Shotgun, and Rocket Launcher. So more customization options, always good. There has been an advanced warning from 343 that they're going to be making changes to the modding tools for Combat Evolved, which means it will no longer support maps for Custom Edition. So at a certain point down the line, they'll stop being supported and you'll have to rebuild your maps in Master Chief Collection. So good at least to get an early warning about that. Saves anyone putting any more time into it. We also then got on to the talk of microtransactions. So, 343 have once again said they have not made a decision when it comes to potentially making Spartan points purchasable in Master Chief Collection. They said that when they designed the progression system for MCC, the intent was always that challenges would be the primary means of earning points. The stars didn't align, and we weren't able to ship the challenge system alongside the original PC launch, where we introduced the progression system. As a stopgap, we loaded 100 points into the first 100 progression levels. What we've seen since is a lot of understandable confusion about why the gravy train stops after Tier 4 level 10. After all, what good is continued XP earning if it doesn't feed back into Spartan points, which is definitely something I have wondered for a while.
Yeah.
They then said, we are happy to announce that in a future content update, players will earn Spartan points for every level from Tier 1 to Tier 11, for a total of 329 points that players will retroactively receive for levels they've already reached. For example, the author goes on to say, I'm currently Tier 7 level 21, so I will instantly receive 101 Spartan points for the 101 levels beyond Tier 4 level 10 the first time I log into Master Chief Collection after the update. So, more Spartan points good? Buying Spartan points, how do we feel?
I mean, it really doesn't bother me. If you want to spend the money to get whatever cosmetic you want in MCC, that's your prerogative. But there is a very easy way to unlock it. So, like, it's really time versus money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna potentially play devil's advocate here for a second, but it does confuse me as to why MCC is continuing to get so much support, given that Infinite's in the place it's at right now. Because I kind of felt like they would support MCC up through into Infinite's launch, and then swap that life cycle over to Infinite and begin to support that. So it just feels a little bit almost strange to me that
I think they're two different teams, to be honest.
Yeah, they are, but that's kind of the point I'm getting at. Is it's weird to me that they've got their resources split when Infinite's such a struggle. I just don't quite understand why it's not one big team working on Infinite right now. I mean, it's great. It's great that we're getting content for MCC, but it just confuses me slightly.
My other thought is that, you know, these are still legacy Halo games, and so supporting, and everybody's going to still want to go back and play these games after they play Infinite, because we went back and we played Halo 3 just to have some fun and see what they put in. So like I feel like that is just an ongoing process that they're still going to add things to it.
The other thing, well, I don't know whether or not it's the case, but I do feel like once they reduced the support a while ago for Master Chief Collection, I kind of got the feeling it was left in the hands of more of a skeleton crew than anything else. Like, they are adding stuff in here and there, but a lot of it seems to be with help from the PC community. Like, it's all down to we're adding in modded materials and bits and pieces, and like they covered that before, that a lot of that is basically with like a work group they've set up among them and the community. So I feel like this is like the last levels of updates we're going to get for Master Chief Collection. Like, once they organize the Spartan points, and I'd say they probably will add in the ability to buy them, and then that'll be like, peace out, you know, we've added almost everything we can possibly add, and we've updated the modding tools as best we can, and we're done.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder if that's it, but also it's at least giving a live team good experience. Unlike
that's a really good point.
I feel like the Infinite live team at the minute is basically just replaying the intro to Saving Private Ryan over and over again while they try and like fix things. So, right, there's a little bit more to cover in this update, and then we get into the Halo Infinite stuff. So, they have added the bandana and acrophobia skulls to Halo Reach. I do like more places with bandana, that's always fun. The new Reach Forge tools are object duplication, reset orientation, delete by palette, and location name markers. So those are things that came along between Halo 4 and 5. Another long-standing issue that they've fixed is the inconsistent time to kill of the Reach Magnum across matchmaking game variants. and they've added various quality of life improvements, such as a new options and career screen, bulk unlocks for the series, the ability to pin a series, and customization menu improvements. So just little bits and pieces. Overall, as far as Master Chief Collection is concerned, I think a reasonable 6 out of 10, like just update of bits and pieces, but nothing to get terribly excited over.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Agreed.
All right. Now, we're going to get into this part. So, I am going to run through the news first, and then we're going to get stuck into it, because I'll just read everything off and then we'll talk about it and we'll do it, because otherwise I feel like we'll never get through this and we'll be here for 2 hours.
It's okay.
So,
we're all going to be really positive.
The Halo Infinite September update was revealed. So we have new information. So first up, we get the winter update. This will be coming November 8th to March 7th. And as I said in the headlines, you may be saying, Aaron, the winter update doesn't sound like Season 3, and that's because it's not. It's a Season 2.5. Yay! So, with this season, we will get the Forge beta, which, okay, yes, I'm excited about that. We will get Campaign Network co-op and mission replay. That's a good thing. I'm excited about that, even though it's been delayed outside of Season 2. We will get a free 30-tier battle pass. Whoop whoop. We will get 2 new maps, Detachment and Argyle. We will get the Matchmaking XP beta. That's a good thing. We will get a new mode, which is Covert One Flag, which actually sounds interesting. It's one flag where the attackers have unlimited active camo and the defenders have unlimited threat sensors. It's basically the Jega fight, but over a flag. Nice. We have the December event, Winter Contingency Part 2. And we have the January event, Joint Fire. So that's the winter section. And then I'll mention the Season 3 stuff, and then we'll just talk about this. So, Season 3 is being called Echoes Within. It will run from March 7th to March 27th, so at least that is in the ballpark of the length of time we actually wanted for a season.
June 27th, not March 27th.
March 7th to June 27th, so it's at least in the right ballpark for the length of time, assuming it stays that way. We're going to get 2 new maps. They have not named them yet. One is an Oni facility in the side of a cliff built around a Forerunner dig site, and the other one is an Oni black site on top of a mountain. We are going to be getting the DMR. We will be getting the Shroud screen, which is like Halo's version of a smoke grenade as equipment. We're going to get a 100-tier battle pass, custom game browser, good thing, in-game reporting, thank frig, a new narrative event, whoop whoop. We're going to get a Forge beta update. We're going to get new modes, VIP and Escalation, and we're going to get a new Fracture event.
I think that's the only excitement we're going to get out of Aaron for this section.
We are now going to talk about this. So, first things first. We did not get campaign co-op and mission replay in Season 2. We got it in Season 2.5. And Season 2.5 is nearly 4 months long.
Yeah.
And so we're now extending out another 4 months until Season 3 comes out. We get a 30-tier free battle pass that will probably last most people a weekend or 2.
If that.
Yeah. We are getting 2 new maps. And the new mode sounds interesting. I'll give them that. And Matchmaking XP is good. Yeah. But with all this, we also got the one-line announcement in the video that they've scrubbed split screen co-op. One line, that's all we got dedicated to it.
Before we jump into this deeply, I do just want to pretext this and say to everyone listening, please just remember that the developers that you see on Twitter, the people who are out in the community circles, things like that, are having to peddle stuff that they're not necessarily happy with. So please just keep that in mind when it comes to the discourse online, because I know I've worked in jobs in the past where I haven't agreed with decisions that have been made at the highest level, and the field I work in, you then have to go and publicly advocate for those decisions, and it's really difficult. So just be mindful that these decisions, we all have a right to be very, very angry about them. But it's important to direct that anger at the right people and actually make sure that we're pointing that at the higher ups who have clearly got this so wrong.
Yeah, we're going to remind everyone of the number one podcast evolved rule. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. That's the number one rule. You can be pissed off and fed up, but don't be a dick, please. So, with that, where do we start with all this?
Okay, so I feel like where I want to start with this is these things wouldn't be such a blow to all of us in the community if 343 just communicated some of these things with us. Like, there was a comment on Reddit, and this is the 343 information cycle. Number 1, give a timeline. Number 2, radio silence. Number 3, miss the timeline. And number 4, promise better communication going forward. And then number 5 is repeat. So if they just communicate and say, these are the struggles we are having, and we are trying to get these out for you, just bear with us, I would be so much more understanding. But literally it's they set a quote unquote target date for campaign co-op at the end of August, and literally it's September, it was the beginning of September when they posted any sort of information. They didn't say anything. They didn't do anything. Even maybe if a week before September goes and they say, hey guys, we're having troubles with this, it's going to be a little longer. We are sorry. We apologize. We are trying to get to this target date, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. It's that lack of transparency I think is really frustrating for people. Actually is, these things just being set. But I think a lot of discourse I've seen, especially on Twitter, is, and granted Twitter's not the best place to measure any reasonable judgment, but still, a lot of people feel as if they can't trust 343's word at this point because they keep making promises that aren't met. And I think that's really, really dangerous from a comms perspective. You actually need to take ownership of that and not continue to make false promises, because the audience, it wears thin on them, and eventually they're not going to trust anything you say. And even if, say, you're hyping up Tatanka when it's meant to come out and everything's perfect with the launch of that, people aren't going to care about that because they're just going to think that it's going to be more of the same. So they really do need to get their comms under control.
Special guest Ray, what do you think?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean as somebody who really hasn't put a ton of time into Infinite, because I was pretty upset with them off the bat with how everything was and the state of everything, and I'm in gaming in general, I'm taking a pretty hard stand against AAA companies making promises and just completely botching them even on the release of the game. It's like I keep waiting for this moment to dive back in or give me something to dive back into Infinite, and it's like I keep seeing these updates and it's like, oh, all right, I'm looking forward to this, I can't wait for this, and then it never comes to pass, and then they just make another update oh, it's gonna be a little bit longer, or oh, this isn't going the way we had planned, and it's just gonna be longer, don't worry about it, we'll get there. And it's just it's tough. It's tough as somebody who's been a Halo fan for 20 years, has, Halo legitimately inked into my skin because of my grandmother, just keep being let down by just a series that has been there for me my entire life.
I do feel like it's been a consistent problem with management in 343 from the Master Chief Collection in the lack of transparency and real explanations. They've said bits and pieces, and we get little bits and pieces, but they don't just come out. They could have come back out at the start with Master Chief Collection. I feel like they got off on the wrong foot in that and spent a lot of time going things are fine, and it really was just that this is fine meme.
Yeah.
Just 343 sitting there, and like you can cut them slack here and there, and I was more than willing to cut them slack for COVID and Infinite launching the way it is, but I did expect them to like get their act together. And then you're sitting here and you're going like, right, okay, you told us in one throwaway line in this update video that we've pulled the team off split screen. You're like, that should have been 10 minutes of an in-depth explanation going, actually, either it turns out it's far too much work involved and we just can't do it, and sorry, we can't devote the resources to it, or they could have just said, actually, things everywhere else are really, really, really on fire, and we need the 200 people or the 50 people that are working in campaign co-op and split screen, and we can't afford to like do without them any longer. If they just, I know they're not going to, but they really do need to tell us what's happening with that stuff, because at this stage you're just like, I read this and I go like, hey, we're getting DMRs, maybe. Like I just, you get a little fed up with it. And like, I understand making games is hard and doing this stuff is difficult. The other thing is, they really did make a point of trying to win back favour with the community by specifically saying that all Halos after 5 would have co-op. Like,
and yet
that was a cornerstone. No, that was the cornerstone of their promise. If they had have turned around after Halo 5 and said, look guys, we're not doing split screen anymore. It's too much for the hardware to run locally. It's too difficult. It's just not going to be a thing anymore. You're going to have a LAN party.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like, people would have been fine with it. Like, there would have always been the people going like, oh, I can do split screen on Master Chief Collection. Why can't I do this? But like, if that had have been it, if that had have been the line in the sand, and they went like, going forward, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to hook your 4 Xboxes up to the router and have 4 TVs. Like, people wouldn't be as annoyed as they are now, where Bonnie Ross basically said, oh no, we'll have split screen going forward, and now we're going like, actually, we're not.
Yeah, people feel...
And, you know, and she's not the one that came out and said it. That's the other thing.
No, and this is the point. I think there's a real issue, actually, with transparency from management, and I was just thinking about this while you were talking, Aaron, and obviously Bonnie should definitely be taking accountability for this. There's no doubt about that. But also, where is Frankie? And where has Frankie been for the past few years?
I kind of wonder, is he just off in Budapest working on this TV show and nothing else? Is he just there with Kiki Wolfkill and that's all they do and they're just hiding? Because that's what it feels like.
I don't even think he's been that involved in the TV show.
I don't know. I feel like I could be entirely wrong on the inner workings of 343, but I feel like Jeff sort of riz up the ranks and kind of assumed that sort of like Laurie role, and I don't know where Frank went. Maybe he just doodles Mr. Chief all day now. Like, I have no clue. I feel like you used to see Frank every now and again, and he would have been the face you'd have put forward, but now it's just like, Joe's here. We need someone to announce that we're not adding a feature and stick Joe out there. And that's just
it. I
it.
feel
He
so
just
bad
gets
for Joe Staten.
Yeah, like, you know, on the one hand, he didn't go into details because he's probably sitting there like, and I know I'm reading a lot into this, but you're probably sitting there going like, this is not my fire to fight here. I was not the one that promised this. I am just the one trying to get shit done. And, you know, so be it. I wouldn't want to be the one to go out and go, actually, this feature that someone else promised you isn't coming now, and I'm going to be the face that's associated with this forevermore. So like,
one of the things
that
I was going to say is one of the things that also I have at least seen through Reddit, I'm not 100% sure it's true, is that like a lot of employees in Microsoft take like these 12 to 18 month contracts, and they're contractors. They're not they're not full-time employees. And so you take 6 to 8 months to get up to date on how the Halo's engine works. And you're like, well, my contract's already halfway done. Now the other half is trying to fix a game. So it's like they need to just, I don't know if they just need to add and get more experienced developers into 343, and so they just have a larger team, and Microsoft needs to help them. So like, I really don't know like what they need to do.
I have listened to I listen to Rebel FM fairly often, and the guys there were talking about, I think there was a court case with Microsoft years ago, and they basically got wrapped over the knuckles and fined heavily for having contractors stay on indefinitely, which is why they have this time limit now. but they also
Yeah.
won't hire them on permanently because when the guys were talking about it, they were saying that the average like live team service studio now like could have 1,000 to 2,000 people in it, and I think they were estimating that like there might be 400 or 500 staff total in 343, and they're like, it's not like the kind of numbers you have for like a COD or something else. They do not have those numbers at all, and they're trying to like make a live service game with contractors propping them up and outsource studios, and like the only studio left really that can do anything now is Saber Interactive, because everyone else has been bought. And I have heard suggestions that they think
still around, aren't they?
I thought they were bought.
Possibly.
But like I think Saber, a few people think Saber might be like the next studio that Microsoft buys, but they're still trying to clear the Activision deal, so they can't announce it. But I think Microsoft might have first right of refusal on them. But like if they came in house and just started working on Halo stuff, like that would probably be a big help. But I don't know. Like we try to be fairly positive, but like this is just kick after kick after kick.
There's another issue at Microsoft currently as well, which I've been hearing a lot about, which is that due to COVID and the financial pressures from COVID, they've got a freeze on recruitment. So I think even if 343 had the roles, they would struggle to fill them, or they'd struggle to get the adverts out for them, which I think is part of the reason why all of those vacancies that 343 had open a while ago mysteriously disappeared.
Didn't they just recently, it was like the beginning of August, they just put out another thing for looking for people through 343.
They put something out for a community team member, and then it just disappeared. And then all of the vacancies that were on their vacancy page disappeared along with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a result of Microsoft's new policy. Which is crazy.
Like, as we were talking about this, and I've thought about it before, like, the real eye-opener to me with the state of things at the studio at the minute is the fact I struggle to think who's in charge. Like, you used to remember everyone in the Bungie days, and you had a fairly good idea of what the hierarchy was, and I stopped the other day and actually thought, is Bonnie Ross still at 343? Is she... Like, I know she has a position further up the food chain. I kind of feel like a lot of them aren't really hands-on. Like, that's the vibe I get all the time, is like, nah, some of us are in Budapest doing the Halo TV show and we just don't give a fuck about anything else, and others of us just aren't about. And I don't know if it's just like a ship without a captain.
Yeah, it's been... The structure of it's really peculiar. I found it really weird a while ago that Frank was doing, of all things, these meet a team blog posts, and I don't understand how that became his responsibility. So I feel like there's still a lot of really strange balancing in the way that 343 approach things.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know, I kind of go through this and I feel like as you look through it, the extension of the season 2 into through winter through to March is a real like fuck you sort of a thing. It's like what length was season 2 so far? Is it 6 months it's been up to this stage?
I think so.
So this will make it almost 10 months long. Like that's nearly a full year we've had. And I know like, it's a season 2.5, but...
I was going to say, like, we are at a point, like, I'm at a point of, even before these updates, where, like, I went through the season 2 Battle Pass in, like, a month and a half, you know, and then, you know, I've done the events, and then, like, I just don't play, like, unless I have a big group of friends, like, I don't just constantly play Halo Infinite, and even now less, it's like, I might want to start playing Master Chief Collection more, and, like, grinding through those, seasons or whatever they are, just because there's actual content there for me to actually do, where this is like, I mean, yeah, we'll get 2 new maps and we'll get a Forge beta, and like maybe that'll pick up the community and what we'll be able to do, but at the same time it's just like they're almost like drip feeding us and like you know, starving us, and then like giving us like here, you get a spoonful of this and you're just like, you just crave more.
Gentlemen, are you... Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, it's just weird to me that it seems like they wait for these big things to do seasons
Yeah,
instead of just kind of being like, okay, hey, look, these futures aren't going to be coming out now, but we're going to go ahead and push this season up and push this season through. All the armor's there, all the achievements is there, all the stuff like that's there. You're just not going to have these other features that we were talking about having in that season.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very much like that's the conclusion that the Master Chief Collection team came to, of going like, no, we're not going to save big updates for every season. We're going to drop small updates as they're ready, and that'll be how we'll work it. Like, I would be quite all right. Like, if Forge dropped in the middle of this season and it wasn't tied to the winter update or anything else, or if campaign co-op had have come out when it was baked and wasn't tied to a season specifically, that would be fine. Like, have your narrative season run for 3 months or 6 months, but don't tie the rest of it. And I know they're kind of like, each season's tied to a new game mode and all the rest of it, but I feel like that's possibly just causing more issues. But it has been so prolonged now. Like, we'll almost get a full year until we hit season 3, and that's just too long.
it's
Weren't we
crazy.
promised 3 to 4 seasons for the first year?
Yeah, they originally promised 3 to 4 seasons. They wanted every season to be 3 months. They then scaled that back to season 1 will be 6 months, season 2 will be 6 months, but after season 2 it'll be fine. And now we have the filler season, and then season 3 is almost the right time frame. That's it, like March, April, May, June. You know, it's 4 months instead of 3, but like it's in the ballpark. Whereas, like they talked about in the video, they wanted to get seasons down to like a 13-week window, which would be ideal.
Yeah,
13
I mean,
weeks, yeah, it's fine.
Like Lucas, you said it took you what? How long to do?
Like
the
not
season
even
pass?
2 months.
So yeah, you're just that's the thing that I have not I didn't even do the first one. I think I have like 15 levels into the first one. But it's like you're not giving people really a ton of content. Like, yeah, there's the couple events and stuff like that, but it's like, okay, here's this season. It's now 6 months long. People like Lucas has finished it in 2 months, or I know there are people who finished it in less time.
Yeah.
Not including the people that could legitimately just buy their way through the battle pass.
Like,
What
I'm
are
not
you
even.
supposed to
The
do
thing
with
is,
the rest of your time?
I was saying I'm not even trying that hard. It's like you put on. I could play an hour a day, put on a double XP boost, and like grind through just some of the daily challenges, and then after an hour, I just get off, and after a week, like I've gotten 20 levels, and it's like super easy. I don't even have to get the weekly challenge. You're just playing the game for an hour a day. Even one of my friends, Steve, he came up with a thing where you put the boost on and you literally just sit there and play bot matches, and you can get a whole bunch of levels just doing bot matches because you can get through them so quickly.
Huh.
And so like he's like that, and you just do that every day for an hour with your boost, and you don't even need to do the challenges to level up your battle pass really quickly.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's hurting a lot too, is it's just they've got this lack of content for the consumer waiting on these big updates that it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do for the other 4 months aside from, I play the game, which is great. The gameplay is awesome. That's one thing I love about Infinite is the multiplayer feels better to me than it has since Halo Reach, but it's like there's nothing really there to make me be like, okay, why do I want to sit here and grind out these games by myself?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I think that's really a thing that I've noticed is I've nipped back into the game a couple of times now. I might play a little bit of Halo with my niece if she's on, but I'm not like drawn back to it. And I looked at the armors now. One thing I think, Tom, you mentioned it before the show, and I'm kind of starting to agree with you. The fracture events feel like, for what they are, they're probably taking a little bit too much time and effort and energy. I feel like they're not turning out the way 343 planned. And at this stage...
Sorry, Aaron. Continue.
No, you're all right. I was just going to say, I think at this stage we really should just turn the fracture events into shameless cash grabs and just make tie-in stuff or whatever.
It really says a lot that I'm the kind of person who plays for narrative only, so I don't really care about multiplayer. The only reason I was sort of into the multiplayer was for the narrative cutscenes, which are their whole other different kettle of fish. But it says so much to me that I logged in for the first time a couple of weeks ago, saw the little notification about the Sky Marshal story, and just thought, you know what, I don't care, and didn't even click on it. And I think that says so much about the Fractures, is that they're building out this alternate universe lore when we don't even have the current universe set in stone yet, and that's what should be focused on. The reason why alternate world stories like Marvel's What If work is because they've put so much work into crafting the world that they're then building off of. We're not at that point with Infinite yet, and it's trying to run before it can walk. And I think that is sort of symptomatic of some of the other issues in other areas where they're trying to run without laying the groundwork beforehand.
And for things like, I would say for things like that, it's like the Sky Marshal, the whole Sky Marshal like story they have. I mean, it's like, it could be, when it's done, like a full mini book, like a little novella, but then like you get the cutscenes for the actual Infinite lore, and it's one of the Spartans standing there shooting 5 rounds with an AR, having a conversation with, and it's like, I didn't need that. Like, that didn't progress the story in any significant way. Like, the first cutscene of the season progressed the cutscene very well. And even though the one with Agrina, with Spartan Agrina, when she's like, oh, you got to get the banished day out, like, that didn't, it still kind of had a story, but it's like less and less every cutscene they do.
No,
and the thing that's crazy to me, sorry, Aaron, is they crafted out that environment for that cutscene where they arrive in the Phantom, and I've seen videos of it where they actually changed the Academy map so it had all of the like temporary medical tents and everything, and stretchers in the corridors, all of that sort of thing. And then they don't even let us go in that environment. So you're putting all that work into this location that's just appearing in this cutscene, when imagine how cool it would have been if the Academy had updated live with that. It's just such a missed opportunity when the environment literally already exists.
Like, I feel like the Academy should have been a social space. Like, that's what that should have been. It should have been like the Tower in Destiny.
Tower,
do you know who keeps making that comment is Late Night Gaming, and like that is something that he's wanted the Academy to be, was literally a place where you can wander around and do things, and that's what we all thought it was going to be originally.
Yeah.
Like, you imagine if you joined your fire team and you just appeared in an armor bay and you spawned in. You could go into the menu and pick your game type or whatever, or you could walk around and talk to your friends and do whatever and look at armor and check stuff out. The other thing I was going to say is, to the Fracture events, no harm to 343, but I think they really should have spent the money, and they should have got, I forget the name of the studio that made the cutscenes for Spartan Ops, but each of these Fracture events should have come with a cool cutscene. It should have been pre-rendered. It didn't have to be done in engine, but like, how cool would the Tenrai event have been if you got to see samurai Spartans, for 3 minutes? And the same for the Sky Marshals. How much better would it have been if you'd have seen 3 minutes of the Sky Marshals fighting the Mutant Covenant on the moon? And then, like, that at least would have given you something. Been right, we're not getting a huge amount of detail. I don't need a huge amount of lore. I just need to know that we're Nazi Spartans on the moon. Like, that's it. And that would have been cooler. And like, you could have done a couple of these, do it like Spartan Ops, and every week that the event comes back, you could have had another 2-minute video. Like, that worked okay for Spartan Ops. What let Spartan Ops down was the repetitive modes and game types on the same levels over and over and over again till you lost the will to live. But the cutscenes are cool, and I will go back and watch them every now and again.
Yeah, you don't even need to play Spartan Ops. You just need to play with watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, and like, this is where that should have happened. That should have been the way this was done. And a bit more involved than the cutscenes for the narrative event, because they're not. I feel like they're not great at all, but I get it. You just need like little things to tie it in, but yeah, I do think they've missed a few tricks here.
So what are we thinking about Season 3? So we got a few different things in Season 3 coming with like the DMR, which is not the DMR, it's called the Bandit Rifle, which just baffles me that they're like, this weapon was originally in Halo Reach as the replacement for the battle rifle. Like, it was a long to medium ranged rifle that did precision shooting, and now we're making it a semi-automatic rifle with no scope, and it has a quick time to kill, but like I don't see the niche that it brings.
I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. It's so weird that we know that so much is potentially in development behind the scenes, and Season 3 brings literally one new weapon, and it's a weapon that people have been asking for, but they felt the need to change it. And I feel like that says so much about the approach to Halo Infinite, which is don't change things that aren't broken. I mean, look at when the game was first revealed, right? I remember people's reaction to the Bulldog, and people still want the classic shotgun in the game anyway. It will probably get added again eventually. So it's like, why change it in the first place? You don't need to fix everything or change everything. It's okay to have legacy items in a game. And I feel like they kind of understood that with Infinite, but then they seem to not understand it at the same time, and it's really peculiar.
Also, I was going to say, and Rai can probably back me up on this, as from a firearms perspective, like a semi-automatic rifle is not designed to be a close quarters weapon. That's what the submachine guns are for. That is what, even your standard assault rifle that the military uses. Like, they're just, full things that can shoot more bullets in a shorter amount of time. Like, you're not going in. This isn't World War II where we have the M1 Garand. You're clearing rooms with a Garand and just having to squeeze the trigger. Like, you need a high rate of fire. Like, I just don't understand.
Taking an M14 into a close quarters.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. So they need. I would have been more understanding if they're like, oh, we're bringing the SMG back, and like that is your little CQB gun, not a designated marksman rifle, which is what DMR stands for.
And even to go, just so that way I can play kind of devil's advocate or to kind of actually crush the devil's advocate conversations. Like, people, I know people will be like, but it's a game. It's a game. They can do what they want. It's a game. It's like, okay, I understand it's a game. But they have built the weapons in the game to actually have those characteristics. Like, your BR, yeah, it's great. Like, you can use it rather close quarters, but it's still like, you pick up a BR on the map, you pick it up because you want range control. The sniper rifle, you pick it up because you want range control. The shot, you pick up the shotguns because, all right, cool, I know I'm going to be able to take this time to kill is going to be a hell of a lot quicker being close to somebody. So it's like, if you're going to build this DMR, then make it for what it's supposed to be. Do not make it outside of its purpose.
Yeah.
But even like with the Bulldog, it's like, yeah, okay, that is a one squeeze trigger, but it also shoots like 40 million pellets in every direction. So you can, it makes up for the fact that you don't have, you only have one, you're pulling the trigger for every time you're shooting at somebody. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like, so that was my thing with the DMR. I will say the shroud screen is probably the coolest thing that's being added besides the maps. Like, it's not just like a smoke screen where like you throw it down and like you can't see in, whoever throws it can't see out. But so like when you're inside of it, like the radar, like your radar or the motion detector doesn't work. Like, so you can be in it and people won't really know that you're in it because they won't see you moving around inside of it. They have to visually see you go into it or know that you put it down in order to determine where you are. So like that can be actually quite useful.
As somebody who's not played Halo in like 4 months, I am super excited about it.
Yeah.
I think it could add so many different tactics for objective game types, for capture the flag and bomb and
like the idea of
so great.
I like the idea of like, if the first thing I thought of was, right, you're going to do capture the flag, you take 2 people and 2 mongooses, you shroud both the mongooses and you run in 2 different directions, and the enemy team goes, where the fuck is our flag? And the flag shouldn't appear while it's inside the shroud.
I don't think it's movable. I think it's like you throw it on the ground and it like puts this like bubbly thing.
Oh, you don't think it's shootable like the threat sensor?
No, I think it's like a grenade almost, and it doesn't stick to anything. I think it like you throw it on the ground and it becomes like a smoke screen. Like imagine like again, like that's the best example is like if you're on a vehicle and you pop a smoke grenade, like it's not going to do diddly squat. It's more going to be a signaling device than an actual like concealment or concealment of your position. So I think that's the idea is you throw it on the ground, it makes this like bubbly shield looking thing, and it can help you either hide or it can help you capture an objective. It can do a bunch of things. I just don't think you can like place it on a vehicle like you can with a threat sensor.
Yeah. I don't know. Like there's stuff in this I like. That's the thing that kills me with all this is like I can't get that excited about it. But like matchmaking XP, about time. I'm happy about that. Covert 1 flag sounds fun. I will be happy to get the DMR back, even if it's not the right like weapon for what it needs to be. In-game reporting, custom browser search, custom game browser will be so handy because it's gonna be up to the Forge community to like fill out the content that we're missing. So
I'm gonna put an asterisk next to that.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think it's coming season 3.
I was going to say, do you think it's not coming, or do you think it's going to be shite?
Nope,
because both are a possibility.
I really want it. Like, even I was with MCC, like, that was the biggest thing, is if you're bringing all this to PC, like, custom game browser needs to be a thing, especially because, like, that just, it opens up so much with just the online community in general. It's not 2008 where, we're all in school and you can put together a lobby of 16 people with, ease. Like, your game lobby or your game parties are just loaded with people. Like, custom game browser, that is a cornerstone these days, I think, of all online gaming. And if it comes, I think it's something that can really bring a lot of your community back, because you're not just stuck in these playlists that may not have game types you like or whatever else. Like, it can just bring this whole thing.
If I think back to all my biggest memories of Halo, it's in custom games, or it's in custom games that then Bungie adapted and put out on proper playlists. That stuff all came from the community. Less and less of it over time came from the supplied out of the box playlists or the stuff they added in. So like, I am excited to see what they can do, especially because Forge looks as crazy as it does. I think one of the things they said in that video was, has it gone from like 6,000 objects to 16?
Yeah, it had like
alone.
It was something like crazy. Like, no, I think it was they had like 1,200 objects and it went to like 7,000 or something. Like, it was a large jump, which I mean, even that is a significant amount. And even with what Rye was saying about server browser, like that is such a PC staple. Like the Battlefield community got up in arms because Battlefield didn't have a server browser. Battlefield's had a server browser forever. Like literally being able to like pick the game you want, seeing player counts, seeing game modes is such a, staple of PC gaming. And it's bled into console gaming too, that like it's almost mandatory. And I didn't see why it's not in there. Like, I can maybe, I guess, get it because Forge isn't in there, but if it doesn't come in March, like, that's going to be a riot as well. Like, we're going to see that.
Having Forge without custom browsers sort of,
it kills the impact it will have.
Yeah,
it can't inject any life into the game if people can't play other people's creations.
No, it's having your sports car with your hatchback engine, and it's going like, it looks fantastic, totally impractical and not great use. So I get that.
Don't call out my car like that.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm very angry and bitter today. There's a lot going on. Like other things, in-game reporting, that's something we definitely need. I'm quite happy to have that.
When I read that, I couldn't believe it isn't there yet.
It is one of those things. It is until you pointed out, the same way they're talking about their updating it behind the scenes for down the line for region browsing. You're like, or region select. And you're like, yeah, we don't have region select. That was something I was able to prioritize in Halo 3. You could be like, oh, I want this region or I want this connection type. And, you could.
It doesn't sound like such a hard thing to do.
You wouldn't think so, but like they seem to struggle with some things that I just don't know if the game wasn't built for it or just no one thought about it. Like the idea that you can't go, oh, that person's betrayed me 3 times, hit X to boot them. Like
Uh-huh.
where the
I'm
why is
never
that not
gonna
there?
Get booted, Aaron. You're never gonna boot me.
I can silence you right now.
After
Don't you
after
tell
what
me.
happened this afternoon, he might boot you.
But like
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I am sort of disheartened with this. I do think management in 343 need to make a few statements and clear things up. And I'm starting to get to the stage where I'm wondering if a few people maybe need to like fail up in Microsoft and go do something else and not maybe be in charge in 343 anymore. I feel like we need someone more attentive at the wheel. And that might be Joseph Staten, but then again, I feel like if you take him away from directly overseeing the game, maybe you end up in the same situation down the line. So I don't know if they maybe need someone new at the top or
Give it
someone
to
higher
Jeff.
up the food chain.
Give it to Jeff.
We could give it to Jeff. It'll have fantastic story then. But I don't know. I do think we're getting like close to the stage where we might have to see some heads roll. I just feel like there's been enough things over the years now to be like, no, this is just
Give it
maybe.
to Krista.
Oh God, no.
Oh no.
I feel like these are just indicative of like a systematic failing at the top. Like that
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way to like really beat around the bush with it. It's been enough times now where like, no, maybe just something has to change with the whole mindset about how things are run there.
Yeah.
And I hate to
agree.
like be overly negative with that and go like someone needs to lose their job, but like I think maybe someone needs to be replaced at their job.
But I mean, even that's big in like sports in general, like hockey in general. It's like if things aren't going the way the hockey team wants it, like they will fire their GM, they will fire their head coach, and then they will replace those people and try something new. And like
Yeah.
the longest running head coach is the Tampa Bay Lightning, but most of these teams, their head coaches don't last more than, you can count on your fingers, or on one hand a lot of the times how long most of these coaches have been with a team. And so they just need to do that in the video game industry. Like if things continue to not work, like they need to pull the plug and like try something else, like correct course.
Like you had your chance, bro.
Yeah, I do feel like they kind of did that though now. The problem is I think they went too low on the food chain because they did sub in Joseph Staten like as the guy running the game team, and like they did that, but that hasn't really fixed the problem now. Granted, from what we hear, it did sort a few things out because we got features into Halo Infinite that we weren't going to have, like Marines that followed you around the map. Like it seems like he did course correct a few things, but I don't think the problem was necessarily just at his level. And I do feel like maybe a few more senior subs might make a bit of a difference now.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, right. Has this been the most negative we've been in a while?
Yeah, do you know what? Sometimes you need to be a little bit realistic, don't you?
I mean, that's how things change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if we
Change
keep
happens
looking
when
at
you
with
speak
rose-colored glasses, nothing's going to change.
And
No.
I mean, the community can say what they want. Like, yeah, the community can get upset, but if I mean, in regards to just this, where the communities and the podcasts and the YouTubes and everything, like if they're just saying good things, like sure the community can be upset, but if you've got the people that are making content and stuff like that satisfied, like it's kind of plays like a part of, okay, like are things good or are things bad? Like do we keep going down this road or
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned this before, maybe in the headlines episode, but I do feel, Tom, you said it, that they may also be listening to the wrong people. I think they spend a little too much time listening to the competitive Halo people and not
100%.
enough time listening to the rest of us. Like, where are our updates on campaign, on DLC, on
Literally-
additions, on updates? Like, anything at this point, I feel like it's been a year. Someone at some stage should have come down off the mountain and been like, hey, we are working on campaign DLC, but it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
You know,
Plus,
shit's on fire.
I'm going to say something very controversial here. If your only form of getting feedback is from groups of people who are actively making their career off of your product, then of course the feedback that they give you is going to be skewed in terms of what they think is going to be best for their audience and therefore their career. So it's not necessarily going to be transparent. Now, that isn't to say that content creators don't add value, because they do, but they need to be part of a wider pool of feedback at all levels of community. And if you're
I would say on that note, they also need to be careful with places like Twitter and Reddit, and like especially because Reddit like becomes an echo chamber of negativity, and they have had to lock down the Halo subreddit because people are just getting so nasty and so crazy. So like there is a balance for everything.
But
Yeah.
like that also kind of says something about the state of Halo right now. I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
there's an abundance of negativity, and I think that needs to be a clear sign of like, yeah, it can become an echo chamber, but when it regularly becomes a negative echo chamber, it's like, all right, something's got to change. And whenever 343 people go in there, and it's like it's almost the same as what this video was. It seems like they just do a little bit of backpedaling, but don't really give any answers.
Yeah, no, I do feel like I will be a little careful here and say that there is a core of the Halo audience who are just absolute arseholes all the time, and it doesn't matter what it is. And unless we teleport ourselves back in time and re-release Halo 2, they'll never be happy. And even then they'll not be happy because some people swear that dual wielding's not part of Halo. So like there are those people, and I want to stress the difference between the toxic assholes who will never be satisfied and the just like genuinely unhappy people, because we are at that stage where there are just a lot of unhappy people.
I'm satisfied sometimes.
We're all satisfied sometimes, but like we're not. I feel like there's a difference between that and the absolute like arseholes around. There are some of them, and they're like that all the time.
Oh yeah, where they sit there and they just say nothing positive. Like there was one guy, I think I saw it on the subreddit, where he's like, I don't believe that we're gonna get these 30 armors for free, and it's like it says it right there on their roadmap. Like you might not agree that they did that, but they're not going like, oh yeah, now we're gonna get you to pay for it. Like there's some clear things of saying negativity and then just being so nasty and negative to anything that is said by 343.
Yeah.
It's like my age-old argument of it's the people who forever swear that as soon as we remove Sprint from Halo, everything will be fine forevermore. And you're like, guys, you lost that argument a long time ago. You have to accept that. But they're still there, and they still bang the drum, and nothing else will suffice ever. If we turned Halo into like Neon Super Ninja Space Fighter, but removed Sprint, they'd be fine. You know.
I'm gonna move us on at this point, I think, just before we
because we could talk about this forever.
Close. Yes, but also before we stray a little bit too close to potentially
to
naming community members. So yes, let's go on to a good note. And Lucas, why don't you take us through the digest for this episode?
Yes, we can work on the digest here. So with the Halo Evolved Digest, we have a few shows. So first we've got Podcast Evolved, which is what you are listening to currently with your ear holes. We have Infinite Impressions, which is topics and opinions relating to the ongoing support to Halo Infinite's campaign and multiplayer. The last episode was the Weapons of Infinite, and the next episode is going to be the roadmap ahead for Season 3. So hopefully maybe some more information might come out, and it might add to this conversation that we are currently talking about. Next we have Builds with Blocks. It's centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. The latest reviews was the UNSC Scorpion Clash, and also I want to give a shout out to Tom because I see him post on the Facebook group a lot with his sets, and he like does some good work, and he like makes a scene out of it. So I want to give him a shout out for those. I always enjoy seeing those.
With my toys.
He plays with his toys. So we've got the Halo Book Club, and it's the thorough discussion on the extended lore media. Our last episode was the newest book, actually, Rubicon Protocol. And our next episode is, I'm pretty sure this is a short story called Promises to Keep. Yes, that's a short story?
It is a Fracture short story.
Okay.
Yes, we are at that stage where it's all mostly Fracture stories, and then we are up to date until we get some more media. we may actually have to resort to just doing a book club on the cookbook. We are running that dangerously low and lower.
Jurassic Park.
No Jurassic Park, Tom. No, bad Tom. All right, and lastly, we have HCS Pro Talk. Josh and Will discuss the latest information within the competitive Halo scene with emphasis on the community every week. So they don't have any recent Map Legends episodes, which actually I am going with Krista to the HCS in Orlando, which is 3 weeks from now.
Oh, you're just going with Krista?
No, I'm going with some of my other friends. I think Trent is coming too, so...
How dare you?
I asked you if you wanted to go.
I am going.
You are going? Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I will see. You said maybe. You told me maybe. So we will, the three of us will be there with our, is your wife coming?
This is
to be
getting
determined.
weirder by the minute.
So, okay. So we will have a Florida group going to the HCS in Orlando. Anyway, watch their show live Monday nights around 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/HCS Pro Talk. And then you can follow them on YouTube and your favorite podcast feeds.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lucas. And before we round out, I'm going to go into a little bonus segment. Aaron, don't be shocked at this, please. But I think since we've got a special guest, I just want to take a minute to give an opportunity for Rye's words of wisdom. So, Rye, why don't you take it away with some words of wisdom to end this episode?
Oh, words of wisdom for what?
Just in general.
Oh, God. You just had to, you couldn't even give me warning, could you?
Tom
And
really
those
just
are
chose
Rye's
violence
words of
here.
wisdom.
Wow.
It chose chaos.
You're just out to troll everyone today. It's like, right, we've thrown Aaron onto the bus or the Warthog, and now we're throwing Rye to the Wolves.
I genuinely thought I'd just give you a cool chance to have the final say, but it's fine, Rye, I'll move forward. So, Rye's words of wisdom were, oh God.
Actually,
and, go ahead.
my words of wisdom is I am actually reinstalling Halo Infinite right now.
There we go. Cool. There you go, guys. There is
Already
some hope.
on the uptrend, Rye. Already on the uptrend.
And on that note, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, you can find every episode to all of our different shows on our website, evolvedhalo.com, or you can search for their unique podcast feed. If you want to listen to everything all in one feed, follow Halo Podcast Evolved on your favourite podcast service and leave us a review. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for supporting this show and making all of this possible. Thank you very much, Rye! And you can head to patreon.com/Halo Podcast Evolved to learn more. And finally, if you want to leave us a voicemail about this episode or a previous episode or about anything Halo or Jurassic Park related, you can give us a call at 205-EVOLVED. That's 205-386-5833. And with that, I have been your host Tom, and until next time, evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.